Okay, a quick, unscripted, unskilled, quick tour through my garden. 5 years ago, I ended up on this 1 acre property, and I have to do something with it. So here we are with a bunch of seedlings. Last count, I think I ended up with about 1,200, not all of which are getting in the ground because not all of them survived. And since I don't have a greenhouse, they're out on my deck being supervised by the hummingbirds. These are actually out on the further deck and are kind of my original garden area because the soil is so horrible on this property. So currently it's carrots, Parisian carrots, radishes, more carrots, maybe, some leftover celery, and then we get to what's my tomato bucket brigade. Currently it's a bok choy bucket brigade. Then we get to the fountain, which you'll see in other videos. The raccoons tear it apart, going to my actually third garden plot, the second most recent. Started a year and a half ago, failed miserably, but I've learned that it takes a while to get the soil to work, even when you buy soil to do things to work for you. I had to give the property a little bit of curb appeal, and since I'm not that big on growing flowers, even though I do grow some, I planted strawberries and some basil, and there's a tomato that decided to make itself at home in there. There's the other side of the driveway. As you can tell, I'm not the best presenter. I have no plan on this presentation, no idea what I'm doing, but what the heck. In the background, you'll see my Fort Knox. It was supposed to be critter-proof. Mesh on the bottom, mesh around, netting over the top, everything. Well, it's not as critter-proof as it should be. It started out as 10 by 12 feet, now it's 12 by 30 feet, and is supposed to be the home for my lettuce this winter. Except I have a problem with a couple of mice or rats that are making themselves lunch in there. When I first got here, my neighbor complained that the previous owner had torn down the hillside too much, so I built terraces, which I use for gardening. And here we go down to my lower 40. You know the joke behind that. This is actually dirt I try to use, the local dirt, adding manure, adding compost, digging it in, tilling it in. Luckily, I have some heavy equipment sitting around to help me, courtesy of somebody else. And 40 came because originally it was 40 square meters. This is going to be the winter home for my cabbages, brassicas. And it's looking promising. They're actually getting bigger now. This was taken about a week ago. So it's the start. And then we go from here to the next level down, which I just did before I took this video about a month ago when I decided to add another section, which I'm not going to grow much of anything in this year. I'm just going to grow some cover crop and chickens food for my little girls here. As you can tell, they are hungry and we feed them well. They get a lot of greens, and occasionally I let them free range, but not constantly. This leads down to what was my corn patch this year. This is also a newer patch. And this year for the winter crop, it's just going to be the overflow for things I just have too much. There was beets there. This is Chinese broccoli, and then there's a whole bunch of some broccoli here, which has not been successful for me. But since I have the seeds and I have the space, what the heck? We'll see. Now, this passion fruit, I'm hoping one day is going to take up that whole trellis. Haha. And then we'll get back up to the house. And so there's a plot there and the end of my tour. So